most of you may start working, say, by mid-20s and retire, say, by 60, 65 years. It is this time, you should remember that 40 years are the most productive years that you ever get in your life. So girls, here I can show you a video on how you can do what you love to do. Towards entrepreneurship. About 23 years ago, when I was a student like you in college, I didn't ever thought that one day I would become an entrepreneur in my life. After marriage, I started sailing along with my husband, who was captain on ships around the globe. I sailed with him for more than 10 years, seeing around 38 countries, meeting different people, knowing different cultures, tasting different food. But still, I never thought that one day I would do a job in my life. When our daughter started going to school in 2006, my husband stopped sailing and settled as a harbor pilot for the port of Cochin. Pilots are the ones who brings the big ships in and out of the harbor. In fact, our daughter has not been to a kindergarten. World was her kindergarten. And when she started going to school, I became the so-called housewife in a beautiful heritage bungalow called the bungalow because it was built in 1930 by my great-grandfather. It was handed over to me by my dad. This bungalow is having 3 different architecture. It has a ground floor which is in colonial Portuguese style. We do have a first floor which is in colonial Dutch style, and there is an attic portion which is in typical Kerala architecture. I don't know why my great-grandfather constructed this in 3 different architecture. Maybe because of the reign of the Dutch and the Portuguese. I wish if you would have been here to tell you all the story behind this heritage property and the architecture behind it. But when I stopped sailing and settled here, and I was thinking, what should I do with my extra time? It is then the tourists from Fort Kochi who used to pass by my house, seeing the building, they used to come in, take my permission in order to see the interior of my house. And it is from this tourist I came to know that I will be able to run this as a B&B. Slowly, I had to ask this permission to my husband. And you know, the very first thing what he said, please don't count on me. I may not be able to help you out because I'm having lots of work to do. Being a sailor, he did have lot of connections with the world. But still, he told me, it will be better if you could start from zero. Actually, he was expecting me to run for 2 to 3 years and wind it up. But now it's more than 10 years. And my homestay, called as the Bungalow Heritage Homestay, has grown stronger and stronger, bagging the famous TripAdvisor's Traveler's Choice Award for the last 5 years. In fact, TripAdvisor selects only the best 25 B&Bs from India for this award every year. And by God's grace, I'm one among them. Now, I will tell you how I branched from the bungalow homestay to Nima's kitchen. My homestay was proper B&B, I mean bed and breakfast. When people started tasting my breakfast, they asked me, Nima, why couldn't you serve us dinner? So slowly I started giving them dinner. Then came the next question, Nima, why couldn't you teach us? I thought it's a good decision because for me, cooking is my passion. So I thought, if a passion can earn money to you, then why should I go backward? So I slowly started giving cooking lessons, but the cooking lessons were given to the guests staying with me in my B&B. Slowly, my cooking classes became popular among the tourists, mainly because of word of mouth. Girls, I say, the best advertisement you can have is word of mouth. And I'm really proud of it because even now, my homestay and my cooking classes has become popular only because word of mouth. And I started taking cookery lessons. More and more tourists came along with me for the classes, and very soon it became popular and I started receiving many enquiries from international travel agencies asking me to give the cookery lessons for the outbound travelers. First, I was reluctant to do so because I was thinking how a person like me will be able to manage a B&B and a kitchen together. Later, I thought about it and I came to the conclusion that if I can bring this up, then anyone can. So slowly I started accepting the enquiries from the travel agents and I started taking these cookery lessons for the outbound travelers also. So as the cookery lessons increased, I had to take 2 sessions a day, and this made me to separate my kitchen from my B&B. And in Nima's kitchen, I take cookery lessons for the travelers who want to learn about Indian food. Now, after tasting my food, enjoying my classes, knowing about me, they came with another question. Nima, can you compile all these recipes into a book? I was thrilled, but at the same time, I was thinking, how can I? Later, I tried many times, but nothing happened to me. Further, I still remember, around 5 years ago, I had an elderly couple from UK. They came to stay with me in my B&B and they even did a cookery lesson. It was a 5-night stay and they are the ones who told me it is better to write 2 recipes in a week, and I did so and I managed to compile all these recipes into an ebook under the name of Treasures from Nima's Kitchen. Later, my second book was brought out. Still, I remember about how I came with my spices. It was in November 2016. I had a surprise guest for my B&B and my classes. Her name was Sally Williams. She came along with an elderly couple and they were brought to me by a travel agent. All of them were on the 70 plus. Her name was Sally Williams and she was the famous South African chef who makes the world's finest honey nuggets under the trade name Sally Williams. After the class and the dinner, she asked me, Nima, can I get a bottle of the spice mix which I used in my class? So I was surprised and I told her I'm not having one readily available. She said she's happy to wait if I can make one for her. I powdered all the 9 spices as per my ratio and handed over the bottle to her. It was my first sale of handmade special masala, and Sally Williams was my first client. And before leaving, she blessed me and said, Nima, your spice is very tasty, and I can see my teenage in you. And before leaving, she even told me, you have to give your spice mix to your clients for sale. There was no turning back for me. It sold like hotcakes. So girls, now if a person like me can become an entrepreneur, and if I can change the can'ts into cans and the dreams into reality, then anyone in the world can. I can show you a PPT presentation on a lady who has become a successful entrepreneur in her life. A jobless lady applied for the position of office girl at a very big company. The employer interviewed her, then a test, clean the floor. You are hired, the employer said. Give me your email address and I will send you the application to fill to start your work. The lady replied, I don't have a computer, neither an email. I'm sorry, said the employer. If you don't have an email, you can't have the job. The lady left with no hope. She didn't know what to do with only $10 in her pocket. She then decided to go to the supermarket, bought a 10-kilo tomato crate, then sold the tomatoes door to door. In less than 2 hours, she succeeded and doubled her capital. She repeated the operations 3 times and returned with $60. The lady realized that she could survive by this way and started to go early every day and return late. Thus, her money doubled or tripled every day. Shortly later, she bought a cart, then a truck, and then she had her own fleet of delivery vehicles. 5 years later, the lady's company was one of the biggest food retailers. She started to plan a family's future and decided to have an insurance. She called an insurance broker to take a protection plan. When the conversation was concluded, the broker asked her for her email. The lady replied, I don't have an email. The broker replied curiously, you don't have an email and yet have succeeded to build an empire. Do you imagine what position you could have if you had an email? The lady paused for a while and replied, an office girl. Don't be discouraged if there are hurdles on your way today. Overcome it. Better opportunities are waiting ahead. So aim ahead. Sky is your limit. Now I wish you all a successful entrepreneurship. Now, before I would come to the end of the session, I would like you to note 5 important points to become a successful entrepreneur in your life. The first point I would like you to note is humility. You should have an humble and meek heart to listen to others, open to new ideas. This will help you to grow. Second point is focus. You should know what your goal or aim is. There will be lot of distractions and negative criticism by others. But you should ignore these unwanted things from your mind and take it for your advantage. And this is the key ingredient to success. Next is know your strength. If you want to become an entrepreneur in life, let it be in any field, you should know your strength. Your strength is your power. And use your strength for your advantage. And if you don't know your strength, then think about a stranger who has complimented you of a good quality. That is your strength. And use that strength, as I said, for your advantage. And the fourth point is learn from your failures. Let it be in any field. Say, take business. You might be having a plan in bringing up your business, but somehow it doesn't come up the way you want it to be. Those are called failures. Remember, failures are not the end. It is the stepping stone to success. And the last and the final point, which I would like you all to note down, is mental toughness. If there is, whenever you are in a field or in your work, there will be a lot of mental toughness you have to take care. There will be a lot of obstacles coming around. You should have the power or the trust in God to overcome it and go ahead. Now, if a person like me can become an entrepreneur in life, then any woman in the world can be. So girls, world is your limit. Do what is close to your heart. Dream and make it happen. A world of opportunity awaits you. Thank you. Being an heritage property, the tourism was ready to give me, to go ahead with my tourism. That's how I came into this field. And one way it's good because when foreigners come to my house and when I say to them that I have been to their country, so they feel more attached to me. So they feel that they can talk with someone who have been to their country. So one way it's good.
Ma'am, about the cooking classes that you give, you teach them on Indian cooking, is it?
Yeah, especially I teach. They really wanted to learn Indian cooking, but in some cases I do my own recipes. And you know, my husband is my guinea pig. I try everything on him. So what he used to say? He used to say to my guests, if you see him alive, that means my recipes are not bad. So still now he's alive. So you can be well assured my recipes are going on well.
Do you improvise Indian cooking? Say that you have traveled across, you have guests coming from outside. Do you seek their support in improving your culinary skills? Do you take ingredients from them?
No, I never take ingredients from them. But there are people who like to see me, so they used to bring something for me. It's a formal gesture, but otherwise, these foreigners are really interested to know and learn how our Indian cooking is. But still, there will be a mix of my recipes and all sort of stuff.
And do you have repeat guests who come?
Of course. As I said, my main advertisement is word of mouth. So I do get people who have been with me for my B&B and my classes. They used to come back again. And at the same time, sometimes what happens, their friends join for the class and it goes on.